What are you the most afraid of about yourself?
I knew this was coming.
I added the about yourself quality to it.
Yeah, there was something there. Since that came up, so I cheated a bit, right? I've been thinking about it. There are things that you just don't want to think about that are pretty fucking terrifying. Things like dying a really painful death. That's a scary thing. Or, someone that you know, someone that you love, suddenly going through something just physically really painful and serious like death. And so it's a massive amount of like mortal physical pain that's taking you towards that path to death.
I won't reach my potential. I mean, I feel like I do that a lot. I feel like I find a place that's comfortable, whether that be in work life or personal life, and then I just tend to stay there instead of pushing myself to grow further out of it. And sometimes I worry that I'll just end up being a bit complacent, and then I'll look back on it with regret.
Not accomplishing the visions or not capable of executing my own intentions.
I don't think there's something that I'm afraid of. I think there's things that I do that maybe I could change, but I'm not afraid of it. I don't think it's going to result in anything super negative.
I would say me being too dependent on other people, like Brad having to take care of me in the old age, or being a burden to people. I would say that's not a good feeling, knowing that I could be more of a burden to him, or be a burden in general.
Well, now that I'm a new parent, I adopted a 12-and-a-half-year-old boy from Colombia a couple of years ago, and I'm not good at being a parent at all. I have a thing that I remind myself of. I call it, it's called GLOW, and it's generous, loving, open, and warm. And it's those four things are the things I want to be with him, and I forget to do it all the time. I'm none of those things most of the time, and I'm like, damn it, GLOW, you gotta get generous, loving, open, and warm. What is the problem? So I'm worried that I don't have enough GLOW within me to share with this little boy.
Just being single at this age too. I mean, kind of being afraid of being alone, not having someone to be with, when I get older. And at this point in my life, trying to find a relationship, I think is difficult because I got so used to being by myself and living alone, and living with a cat and just kind of being super comfortable with me the way I am, and really, liking the ways that I do things. And it's been hard. I think it's kind of been hard for dating because I don't want to change my life a lot, but I would imagine if I'm going to share a life with someone, I would have to, so being able to be open to that has been something that is a little scary, I guess. So it's not that I sleep well, but lately I have been kind of having shit more on my mind, when it comes to I guess that part of my life.
What do you wish you could say to your 15-year-old self?
I wish I could say to not sweat the small stuff. When I was younger, I was a lot more stressed out about things that inevitably ended up being minuscule, and I see it as a trait that my daughter has as well, so I try to kind of remind her of that.
If we're talking to 15-year-old me, you fail now, fail fast, fail often, keep failing, and keep beating into your head that the failure is where the growth is, which isn't just a rationalization of failure, it is the only place that growth happens. Like, you don't have the experience to really understand what they're saying, and you think that you're gonna do these things, but you gotta learn the hard way.
I wish I could go back and say to my 15-year-old self that I shouldn't take things so seriously and that you should just like embrace the moment in life because it's fleeting.
Number one would be invest in the things that you're interested in early in life. What else? Learn a fucking instrument. You know, just do it. Just fucking, like, I'm so into music. If I had just been able to learn guitar, piano, or anything, or be able to make music, I think that would have just been really good for, like, you know, my soul. And being able to have that creative outlet, you know. I mean, I DJ, but that's just not the same. Third one, don't always go for looks.
You know what the great news is? In 20 years from right now,
Right.
you'll have been playing guitar for 20 years.
Yeah.
Already very much independent by 15. So I would say that I'd say you're not always going to be alone. Yeah,
Is that it?
I think so.
Okay.
Find the right, appropriate way to challenge yourself. Don't sell yourself short. You gotta plan out some breaks. You know, you gotta put some money away because I'm broke. I can't help you, kid. But you just gotta cut and drift, and you gotta figure out what's important to you.
That whatever I did as an adult was good enough. I think I felt a lot of pressure to be the perfect daughter, girlfriend, friend, student, because I was always such a goody-good and felt that I did the right thing when I was supposed to. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself for that.
What would your 25-year-old self think of you now?
I think he would have to get over some disappointment, but it's the same disappointment that he felt about himself at that time anyway. He just wasn't admitting that it was real yet. I guess I feel I've grown so much, but I don't feel all that different from that person, so. But there are some things that I've overcome and done that would have been very surprising to hear. He would have to come to terms with things in himself that took me 15 years to get to, and it might really help him get there faster, just to be realistic about who I am and was.
I think I'm right on track. I think I was living in New York when I was 25. By the time I was 25, I was already doing voiceovers, which is what I moved to New York to do.
Gone accordingly?
Yeah, I mean, well, accordingly by not going in any way accordingly. Like, you know, without no plan. I never had a plan. I never wanted to get married. I never like had like a vision of what my future was going to be. And I still don't have that vision, but I've been able to create a life of my own design, and I think I was doing that back then too.
If you were to ask me at 25 what I'd be doing at 55, I would probably say I'd still be working. That was the year I started my business, and not that I had a grand plan when I started it, and because I'm not, and I'm comfortably, you know, financially kind of good, I think my 25-year-old self would be pretty stoked about that.
Dude, retired on Maui, beautiful family, like, a little stress. I think you'd be pretty excited.
Oh my gosh. She would be ecstatic of the life that I've had, that we've had. I think she would kind of pinch herself and to know what the future was like.
I think a 25-year-old self would be like, dude, nice job. I like kind of where things are. You're doing okay. And not only that, I think 25-year-old self would be like, yeah, I'm okay turning into that.
What would you say to your father on his deathbed?
Oh God. Probably just to articulate like how much he meant to me and how much I loved him and thank him for all he did for me. I feel like in our family we didn't really express much growing up. And just like simple words would probably be really meaningful.
Okay. You want to, like a tissue?
Like a break.
Hold on. Do you, like either way, do you want to say any more about it or move on or?
No, we can move on.
I don't know that we've ever had like a truly deep conversation. And people always tell me that he's part of the, like, anything that's happened in my past, they're like, you know, this is your dad's fault too. But because he was not actively doing the harm, he just wasn't protecting me, I very rarely like hold him accountable for that. I don't know that I would do that on his deathbed though. That seems like a waste of time. I think I probably still keep it kind of shallow, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't know what I'd say. Just, you know, I love you. Yeah.
Great. And I like that answer. It's like, maybe I would just keep it as is because it's...
Right, it's like,
It's
why
such
would
a-
I push him to be deeper
Right.
or try to be a different person than he's been his whole life
Like just not...
just for my own...
Right.
Yeah.
It's just not in his nature.
Yeah.
I love you, and you did a really good job. There are so many things that I will never forget, but especially, we were just in Switzerland for this trip, and he's definitely getting old, but I would let him know that there were a lot of moments on that trip with him smiling and laughing and all of us having fun. That's what I will take away. If this all went down now, which I hope it doesn't, that's where I would leave it.
It's funny because it's like there's things that's more for me or things that are for him. You did enough. Yeah, I mean he is a wonderful dad, and I think it's impossible to ever know like if you did enough, and me not feeling that I did enough. You're the best dad. I love you. That's what I'll say.
I think just the standard stuff. I would tell him I loved him, that I thought he did a great job, that I was, I patterned my life after him as far as the entrepreneurial side. I don't think I would have done what I did had it not been for my dad and kind of watching him as I grew up. So I would thank him for that because it obviously led me to have a nice, comfortable life with my wife and kids and just being able to afford kind of being able to do nice things. Whereas if I had gone the other road and kind of been a worker bee for someone, I don't know that I would be in the same position. So I would thank him for that.
This is the one I heard about. And on his deathbed,
Yeah.
you know, if I had this question like 20 years ago, I think my answer would have been way different. My dad was always around, but he wasn't really like a father. He came from an Italian background, and his dad is really strict and really didn't let his kids really do a lot, and kind of was overbearing and overprotective and strict. And so I think my dad got a lot of that from his dad, and I understand that, and I've understood that more as I've gotten older, I guess. But we were never really like close. Like my dad's never been like, hey, how was your day? Like we just started like giving each other hugs maybe like 10 years ago. But then I think about other people that I know who had just way shittier fathers, and so it's hard for me to kind of be that upset because he was there. He did provide for us, and so, I think he did his best with what he was able to do. He doesn't know how to open up and really communicate and be close with people, and I think I've gotten a little bit of that too from him. I think I would, what would I say? I would say I wish we were closer. I wish we had more heart-to-hearts or just communication and talks just about like life and about him, and wish I could have known him more. I wish he could have known me more.
I think I would fib to him and tell him that it was a great upbringing where it was really actually stressful being around him. I mean, you know some of his history and being a recluse and battling depression. I think I would tell him what he wanted to hear, which I don't think is the truth, but I would tell him that.
Common answer, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Current life struggle or challenge?
Kind of a newly retired guy, and the constant concern about finances and, you know, outliving your finances. So it's a tricky game because you want to enjoy yourself, but at the same time, you know, the cost of living goes up and you have no income coming in other than the income that you derive from your assets. So I feel like that's my constant kind of worry, if I have one, is that.
Hoping you get in and out of that hospital quick.
Yeah. I can't be that person that goes back to their kid and asks them for money. I just can't be that person.
The narrative of failure and regret create a self-propelling narrative that continues creating problems even in the midst of a reality where you're doing much better and it's a constant fight.
That feeling of like time escaping. Like I feel like, oh my God, everything is moving really fast. And I think it becomes more real when you see those around you that you love, like passing away or like serious medical conditions. And it just feels like things are really real in a way that they weren't in previous decades. It feels like you're sort of just like right in that middle age and like getting beyond it, and it feels like a scary time to sort of know how to navigate.
I think that might be the challenge, is I haven't figured out how to challenge myself.
One regret you would change?
One? Only one? It's just such a pattern of regret for me, so. But I actually had a lot of problems that would have existed regardless. But if I had been more bold and self-confident romantically and sexually and in relationships at a young age, I think that I would have not gotten into like a negative self-esteem complex that had like real consequences in other parts of my life. And I think that just being in relationships like really helps, especially with the right person, to bounce off reality. Like in your own life, how would you go back and change like patterns that had consequences? Would take, it's always just awareness. You would just have to have had more awareness quicker, which goes back to like fail quick and fail early and actually look at the failures. And just, if you just, like it would always, the answer would always be if I'd just been aware earlier. So whatever would have gotten me there.
I think at this point, I would like to have a better relationship with my brother, my younger brother, Mark. I don't necessarily think it's anyone's fault, but I feel like we were really close at one point. He was my best man at my wedding. And, you know, 30 years later, we were cordial, but we're not tight like we used to be. And I kind of feel like that would be something that, if it could be repaired, would be great, because I really do miss that relationship.
Not having higher goals for myself as a younger person. I was educated, but I never had a real career. It was, I worked, oh my gosh, 5 years out of college and then got married and got pregnant. I think that's something maybe that I would have wanted to explore more on how I could have followed some passions, which I couldn't even tell you what those are right now at this point, but I think I wish I did that more.
Oh, I might change like just the approach to like saying yes to more things. and just being willing to like live a more carefree style, which I can evolve into like now, you know what I mean? But I feel like in the past, especially when I was much younger, I was much more like guarded and careful. I regret being like wanting so much control over everything. Yeah.
Like going back and forth over like minor detail
Yeah.
versus like find what you like to do, like jump into it, give it your all.
Yeah.
Move on to the next thing, make a decision, go. Move on to the next thing, make a decision, go.
Yeah. But it's the human experience, right? Like it's everybody's experience. I feel ours were like similar in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Of like dissecting things, like being more introspective than people certainly thought you were.
It's like, oh my god, just jump in, take a swim,
Right,
go. Like,
right.
yeah.
And some people seem like they're like, some people are much more like that, right? When did you start combating that actively?
Like on a daily basis, just recently.
Yeah.
Just since we've been here.
Well, when I was a senior in high school, my mom had a boyfriend who was a plastic surgeon. And for my birthday, she got me a nose job. And I was like, I didn't even think about if I wanted a nose job. Just my mom was like, this is what I got you. And I was like, I guess that's what I need. And so I just like let this person change my face without ever thinking about it. So it worked out okay. But every once in a while I'm like, that was a weird decision.
I kind of regret not, maybe 10, 15 years ago at least, 20, just going back and studying something that was more interesting, something I was really passionate about. It is what it is, but it's kind of silly. A kid goes to college when he's like, 18 years old, you make this decision, and you can't make it, when you're 18 years old, you can't make a decision like that. At least I couldn't.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish I had like hustled and lived in New York City when I was younger, because I feel like I would have fucking loved it and thrived, and just like I feed off that city energy, and like you say, it's not too late, right? But but being old there, or you really have to be like a hustler or just rich to be in New York City at this point.
I know, dude, there's something that's just like young man's hustle. Like,
Yeah, I'm lazy. I play video games and I love that shit, and like I like my lifestyle.
I'm not gonna go struggle now. Like,
Right? Yeah.
You're 18 and you have a grant to pursue whatever you want.
Oh, it's easy. I want to be a professional tennis player.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Were you like, could you have, had you...
No, I never had the commitment. I mean, I was a...
No, but had you like piped in at that age and like went all in, would you have had a shot to like...
I don't think so. I mean, I think obviously if funds were not an issue and I could, and I could get, like you said,
Yeah,
that
they
grant,
are.
I think it's a 1 in a million shot, but I would have pursued it had I known, okay, let's say I tried it for 5 years and it didn't work, and at least I wouldn't be in debt, right? It would be paid for, and then I could start my life over then. But I think, being a professional tennis player, especially at the top of that game, is pretty badass, because you're traveling the world and you're frickin' playing tennis for money, dude. I mean, what else is there?
Dude, that's my favorite answer. That's so great.
I would have probably pursued a career in the music business, whether it's like production or like, I feel like when I was younger, I knew all the bands, I knew who was cool, I knew what sounded good, I like had a really good ear for that shit, and I think I really could have done something good with that. Like maybe I wasn't the most talented musician, but I knew what sounded good. Sitting behind the board, listening to music, working with people all day, or even doing it myself. I would love to put that out there and like actually create and like make something that other people are gonna like listen to and enjoy, like feel good about, whatever, or feel bad, but just at least give them something to feel.
I would do what I did, like I moved to New York with $1,000. I'd never been there before. I didn't know anybody there. I just knew I wanted to do voiceovers, and I like went there young and dumb and had a list of names of friends and called them all up and just got serendipitously lucky. But yeah, I would have probably just gotten a nicer apartment when I got to New York.
Yeah, that's a nice question. If I had been at that age, I would have made like the movies that I was envisioning and writing. And it's nice to think that even if I had that potential, that would have led to like a certain kind of really great life. But I don't even want that anymore.
If I had like limitless funds and I was 18 and I could choose to do what I wanted to do, I would travel and I would go see the world because I hadn't seen much of anything at 18.
An insecurity you're willing to share.
I don't have a lot of the conventional insecurities. I just have like a really deep-seated doubt that I'm capable of doing the things that I want to do or being who I really am. And all what would be any other surface insecurities, just whatever mechanism is the brain is responsible for that doesn't deal with day-to-day insecurities, but then all of its processing power unfortunately ends up, it's just this fundamental like, what if you're not? And it's, yeah, it operates pretty invisibly too, so that's the best I got.
Aging in general. And I feel like it's just like vanity at this point, you know? Like I tell myself frequently like that we should all just be like so grateful to be in like the skin we're in and like the body we have and like what a like gift it is, and I truly believe that. But then I feel like you can't help but like be affected by all the media and images and like the world that I live in of like my work world of like luxury and beauty and like media, and like that affects the way that you view. I feel like it can't help but affect the way that you view yourself.
The older I get, the more, I don't want to say I don't give a fuck because that's not true, I do care. But the older I get, it's just the more it's just like, we were talking about this the other day, you gotta stop beating yourself up. You know, you got to stop beating yourself up. You're part of a flow. That's it, you know. And the harder you fight it, the more that you entertain or that you accept and acknowledge and focus on an insecurity, it's going to tear you in half.
Who do you love the most and why?
The most.
I mean, I love all of my family very profoundly. Like, I think my mom is an easy answer because she was such a loving mom and we share such a sense of a unique sort of like mind and outlook on the world, and she just filled my life with so much love. I think I'm going to struggle with this question because I think love is like a very limiting word to the actual experience that it refers to. It's just describing the connection, and the connection doesn't, in that sense, there's not reasons for love. Like, we're wired for love, but then the reasons are the people, the two people involved, and it's just, yeah, it's far too, I think love is far too complex of a thing for the human mind to really wrap its head around, and descriptions are always insufficient.
I mean, my mom was pretty fucking awesome throughout my life. You know, I was like a mama's kid, but I also didn't want to be, which was weird. Like, I wanted my own independence, but I was also supremely like kind of attached to her, and super shy, and was always kind of like with her because she just did everything for us. Like, literally did everything, like sacrificed her whole life, and still does, for just anything to make us, me and my brother, kind of happy or have what we want. Like, literally at every game I ever played, my mom was there, keeping score for our baseball team. She's always trying to make sure that, like, you know, whatever she's doing is for the best of us, making us happy, giving us what we need. And still to this day, I mean, she's like still doing that with like my nephews. Like, she's literally the daycare for my nephews. She's sitting on the ground, like playing with them, like, and she's got a bad back, but she's still like doing all this stuff, giving herself, you know, to her family.
I can't answer that question.
Well, who's somebody that
I love,
you
I mean,
the most?
Baxter. Come on, Baxter? I feel
Well,
like
I think
it has to be a human.
It's meant to be a human.
what if somebody sees this and they're like, I thought I was the person she loved the most?
We'll take the
I don't
handcuffs
know.
off.
I don't know. I can't. That's not a question I can answer, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I could say Alejandro, but I've only known him for 2 years, you know? So that love is like a instinctive, primordial love. But also my relationship with him is incredibly challenging and hard. And I love him, but I don't think it's quantifiable. Is it quantifiable? Is love quantifiable? Can you love someone the most? I sort of feel like when I was a kid, I was always looking for my best friend. And I was like, I don't know that there's a best friend. There's just friends, good friends, you know? And I feel like there's all kinds of different loves. There's not someone I love more than anybody else. I just love them differently.
I love my friends the most because you choose them, right? Versus like you love your family because they took care of you since you were born, and you have those like unbreakable bonds of growing up with siblings and all of that. But yeah, I feel like that's an unanswerable question for me. Except for I loved my dog the most.
Why?
Why did I love them the most?
Yeah.
Because it's unconditional. Right?
Well, like, what are some of the things you loved about them?
Oh my god. I don't know. Like, I feel like like the unconditional love, somebody that's always there for you, or some little thing that's always there for you. You also feel like, oh, you're taking care of something, like they're dependent on you. It's sort of like an I don't know, I feel like you just really build a bond. I couldn't pick a person, honestly.
Yeah, it's a lot more challenging of a question than I thought.
For me, that's hard. That's a hard thing to do because I don't have any kids and I don't have a wife or a serious girlfriend. If I were to play favorites, my family would definitely come first. But then there are people like you, Bo, and I'm serious. People like you, friends of mine, that if I had to choose between the two, if my brother was in trouble and I needed to be there for him, I'd pick that first. But it just as easily could be yourself if you needed anything. You needed a ride from someplace, or if you were having surgery, you needed someone around to take care of something, or needed some money. It would be there. It wouldn't really be a consideration. Almost exactly the same as if it were a member of my family. Like I said, there just might be a little bit of it's the DNA thing, it's that natural instinct, take care of your own that's kind of there. But yeah, for me, it's just, you got that sphere, and once you're in it, or that you're in that tier, it's kind of all the same. It's just, you're there.
Very nice, buddy. That's it.
Who do you love the most?
In my whole life,
Mm-hmm.
I kind of, like, if I go over it, what pops out is my grandfather, Peps. And like for me, the why of that is like, you're a kid, you're a son, you're a little brother, like growing up, and then he really like zeroed in and like paid the attention to me as like a person, and like he stopped and he was like, he really shined his light on me, and like he was just like a remarkable, charismatic, like honorable, dutiful dude.
That's lovely.
He was just my hero, and he also like really put it on me,
Yeah.
Gave it back to me. So I've never felt the way I have and did for him again in my life.
When people describe, especially a grandparent that they love in that sense, they describe the qualities that they loved about them and they embody those qualities. And the things that you were saying, I can see it in you. That like you get radiated on the sunlight and then you want to give that light to everybody else, and you do for a lifetime.
Oh, my wife, there's no one even close. I guess my kids would be a close second. But yeah, Janine, she's just the sweetest person on the planet. She's an angel. She is everything to me. She's just everything. I would never, we kind of joke about it. Oh, if one of us were to go, or we, if she were to die, I would never get remarried. I don't even know if I'd ever even have like a partner after her. I don't think anyone could touch what Janine's all about.
I love Brad the most because we've grown up together and have had this amazing love story. Oh my God, it was emotional. And I really feel that I've won the lottery with him. He's such a good guy. And I don't know how I got that lucky, but I did. That's gotta be the last question. Come on.
I knew that if I started to try to get like B-roll and like 2 camera shots, like I knew I would never finish it. So I literally was like, just take a camera, interview with friends, have a microphone that works, and just like get 45 minutes, 1 edit, and then just send it to them. Because of my own nature to not finish things and not complete things, I have made it really simple, and that's why there's no like cuts of me asking the question or like coverage of the lake we're on.
So what was it like with your friends?
A few of my friends I was like, oh wow, we're in like I was impressed that they shared with me to the depth that they did. You know, what's funny is I like, of these friends that are in this, like, I mean, Krista I've been friends with since I was like 16 years old, so like these friendships span like 10, 20, 30 years, so it's the familial aspect and the comfortability and all that stuff is like there. What I take away from it is you know, to the like 4 episodes that Jonathan and I have like put together, I've seen every breath of those so many times. So I have a new like familiarity with friends that I didn't have before. I'll find myself like with them now, and I quote them, and they're like, "Wait, what? I said that?" Like, so it has deepened my like relationship and like understanding of who they are and tendencies and quirks, and like I love it. It's like there's I've discovered like a lot.